what I'm really trying to get at fundamentally is the idea that when the fall of man happens, or the way the Jewish culture understood it, that when the fall of man happens, death enters the world in a new way, right? And we're no longer in that perfect union with God, in those kind of like special bodies that we'll talk about in the resurrection. So we're going to like set up a lot of stuff in this podcast, at least in my opinion, Ben, tell me if we're wrong, about when we talk in the next couple podcasts about resurrection, because this all ties together as a bigger narrative. But death is a really big deal because it's a type of suffering that is unique to fallen and sinful man. That's what I'm trying to say to you. It's unique to a flawed world, right? Because if you've ever lost somebody, it is incredibly painful. It's incredibly painful. And that's a type of suffering that's different. And, you know, even in like ancient poets and literature, the Epic of Gilgamesh is like a great story, right? When like Enkidu dies, like Gilgamesh is like, you just like, he goes on this like emotional rampage. It's crazy. It's really sad, right? And like people write about it as the worst kind of pain, losing somebody you care about. And this is the wages here that like we're talking about. So if God and Jesus hadn't died, then he wouldn't be fully human, because to be fully human to some extent is to be mortal, but also to have the risk of being able to lose, is to die, and to like feel loss, right? Like Jesus was sad, like Jesus wept. Like they killed his cousin John the Baptist, who probably had a pretty significant role in his life. I mean, this is the guy that like was going out and saying, "Prepare the way, the Messiah is here." It's a big deal, right? And they're related. And so my point is this: that his death is really a big deal because it really focuses on the connection, that relational human nature of man aspect, right? Human nature aspect of who God is. So as we're talking about the creeds and as we're kind of going here, I really want to tie it back to what they're combating, that Gnostic view that he wasn't, but also how we see it today. I think sometimes we tend to course correct one way or the other. And in our churches, either we talk about God in way too godly language, like Jesus is like this magic being that runs around and like, you know, zaps magic, invisible like fixes on things. You know, we talk about him because he is God, and he could do those things. But we got to also understand that like he suffered like us, and he paid the ultimate price, right? Like he died like we're all going to. So he lived in a very real sense a full and complete life. Does that make sense, Ben, what I'm saying? Like he can understand humans, and we can connect to who Jesus is in a way that's fundamentally different because of his death, right? Even if we haven't experienced it, we've been touched by death before, right? I don't think there's a single listener who could probably say, I haven't been aware of someone dying in my life and it hasn't impacted me at all. That's absurd.